get the whole story. This is KITV 4 News at 5.
A familiar sight at the Kolekole Pass in Wahiawa is no more. The Army today tore down the Schofield Cross, saying it would cost too much to repair. But as News 4's Demi Fawcett reports, a citizen group says the landmark came down because of their lawsuit.
The Army has $285 billion a year. The cross was a minor expense, but a major exposure. We think it violates the First Amendment, and we're glad that they're taking it down. We don't have to continue with the lawsuit.
So your kid joins a youth club, right? A place to meet other kids, to learn and grow and have some fun. And each kid gets a membership card, a card the child has to sign. And on that card it says, "I believe in God." Have a problem with that?
If you don't believe in God, then signing a card that says, "I believe in God," is patently offensive.
The Boys and Girls Club of Navy, Hawaii is removing the phrase, "I believe in God," from its membership cards.
Talk over whether multiple theories of origin should be taught in Hawaii classrooms is stirring controversy at tonight's Board of Education meeting.
Creationism will not be allowed to be taught in Hawaii's public school science curriculum.
This after a 4-hour debate on the subject.
I am very pleased. This puts an end to the controversy, and we're not going to have the educational system dragged into what is, in essence, going to be a legal battle.
The demonstrators say they won't go away until the Scouts stop discriminating against homosexuals.
We are protesting the Boy Scouts because they discriminate. They discriminate against gay youth, and they discriminate against youth who do not believe in God.
If you're morally straight, don't discriminate.
A group who says lawmakers have no right to post religious symbols on their state capitol office doors struck back today.
Here's the Darwin symbol, attached to Senator Matsu's grandpa.
The group says religious symbols violate the separation of church and state, so they posted their own symbols on the doors as a protest.
Some folks are questioning tomorrow's Good Friday holiday. A handful of protesters making their way through the state capitol today, upset that it is a state and county holiday. Activist Mitch Kahle, dressed as Jesus, was accompanied by members of the Hawaii Citizens for Separation of State and Church.
It is an exclusively Christian holiday. There are no secular precepts to Good Friday whatsoever. And so we would like to see the state take action to create an Aloha Day holiday in its place.
An advocacy group is protesting prayer tonight at the Honolulu City Council. The group, The Separation of Church and State, believes the invocation at the start of council meetings is unconstitutional.
Reverend Kim of the Christ United Methodist Church.
Mitch Kahle spent hours going over city records. In his mind, they all show one thing.
And they're showing favoritism to the Christian religion over the wide diversity of religions that are in Hawaii.
I don't believe having an invocation at a public meeting is in violation of the Constitution of the United States.
Kahle just points to his research and says the numbers don't lie.
That in the last year, the last 12 months, all of the prayers except one before the Honolulu City Council have been of a Christian nature.
A group that advocates the separation of church and state wants the city to remove 4 words from the oath taken by new Honolulu police officers.
The oath for new Honolulu police officers ends this way.
So help me God.
Kim, until tonight, the police officer's oath ended with the phrase, "So help me God," but it was removed after a local citizens group complained the phrase violated our state constitution.
The reference to God was removed after a complaint by the president of the Hawaii Citizens for the Separation of State and Church. He cites an article of the state constitution.
That article says that the oath that police officers shall take, and it spells out the actual wording of the oath, but it does not include "So help me God."
This is KGMB 9 News at 5.
Good evening to you. I'm Jim Mendoza.
And I'm Jade Moon. Our top story tonight, a code of honor controversy at McKinley High School.
It has to do with the words love for God in the school's honor code. The American Civil Liberties Union today filed a federal lawsuit on behalf of a McKinley student. The suit asks the court to remove a reference to God from the school's code of honor. At KGMB 9's Brooks Barrett joins us now. He's got the very latest on this.
Jim, the McKinley Code of Honor has been around since 1927. It is part of the school's history, but the ACLU and a soon-to-be sophomore at McKinley say the code has got to go.
This is posted in the classrooms, it's part of the student handbook, and it probably appears elsewhere, although those are the 2 areas that we're concerned about most now.
Mitch Kahle, who heads the citizens group, says the reference to God is both unconstitutional and a violation of state law.
In the public schools, the courts have been really quite adamant, and this goes back to decisions that took prayer out of the public schools, that mandate that the 10 Commandments cannot be posted in the schools. Basically, everything that a school does has to have a secular educational purpose. It cannot have a religious purpose.
In the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, we continue our investigation into the holy war that the American Civil Liberties Union has launched against God in America. So are we going to play this game, Mr. Kahle? Are we going to play this game, or are we going to be honest?
It's your program, Bill. We can play whatever game you want.
Why now?
Well, because it's inappropriate for a public school to be telling students what to believe and how to feel. And I'm really surprised that you would actually support the government telling students what to think and believe.
I'm not supporting anything like that.
Lawmakers got to work. The day began with a scuffle and an arrest.
It's a violation of the Constitution.
God bless you guys.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
It's a violation of the Constitution.
Just as the invocation was being delivered in the Senate chamber, protesters from the Hawaii Citizens for the Separation of State and Church interrupted and said prayer in the Capitol is a violation of the U.S. Constitution. 7 months after he was hauled off in handcuffs and charged with disorderly conduct, a judge has found Kahle not guilty. But the story doesn't end there. Brooks Bear has a report you'll see only on Hawaii News Now. Brooks.
Mitch Kahle contends our state legislature has been violating both the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution by praying during official business. And when lawmakers ignored his request to stop, he staged a brief but perhaps very effective protest. When Senate President Colleen Hanabusa pounded the gavel and introduced a reverend to deliver the daily invocation, Kahle was waiting.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love for us and the opportunity to be in this place.
My name is Mitch Kahle, and I object to this prayer on the grounds that it's a violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. I object.
Kahle's protest lasted about 7 seconds. Then he stopped talking and sat down. But the sergeant-at-arms was determined to remove Kahle. When he resisted, he was forcefully removed and roughed up.